it's Emily, super sensitive human, and welcome to my life. I've been trying to edit video on my trip to the Grand Canyon, and that takes a while because when you have a lot of clips and you try and put music and things, it takes a long time. So instead, I'm gonna first post a video, diary style. I'm gonna tell you a story. Now, one of my viewers said it looks like I'm almost always holding something back in my videos. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm a secretive person. Secretive and honest, both somehow. So, I'll tell you something that I have alluded to that I have not addressed directly, which is I've said that I have high anxiety lately. And I haven't said why, even though I know why, because I'm afraid and embarrassed, ashamed, and it gives me anxiety just to talk about it. I also alluded to the fact that I met somebody that I really, really liked for the first time in 4 years this summer. And I said that that was a good thing because it means I'm on the right track of drawing in people that I really like. But that's only half the story. There's also a bad thing. Well, the reason that I'm ashamed about this is because it wasn't a real relationship. It was a mostly virtual, text-based flirtationship, I would call it. And therefore I'm embarrassed that this has affected me so deeply. But basically what happened is I met this fisherman and he was working in Alaska, and so couldn't really see him. On the surface of it, nothing really much happened. The way it ended is he seemed to go into typical male pattern withdrawal and started breadcrumbing me, sending like just enough little stuff to keep me hooked without an emotional investment. And I kind of noticed that this was starting to happen, and I'm not stupid. I'm a little bit stupid, or I would have never got this in the first place, but I called it out and he didn't really want to talk about it, and eventually I got him to say that he liked me, but he didn't like me. And that wasn't good enough for me, because at that point I was already emotionally invested in this. So I decided to call things off. It was kind of confusing at the end, but from what I gathered, there was a but I might probably maybe come to like you. I just really don't know about this right now. So there may have still been a chance. And in some cases I might say, girl, he's just not that into you, but I'm not a normal person, he's not a normal person. This wasn't really a normal type situation, so there may have been a chance. It might seem a little extreme that I just threw it all away just like that, right when things were about to get real, because there was a true point that we really didn't know each other that well, and so thus he might not be expected to know if he did indeed like me based on our limited interactions. However, he wasn't really conveying that in a good way, like passively, aggressively ignoring certain content is not a good way to say, hey, I need space. So there's a quote that says, show a girl you don't care and she'll chase you. Show a woman you don't care and she'll replace you. So I'm like, okay, I'm a woman. I'm gonna replace you. I needed some level of investment to match my investment, or it was just gonna get real dangerous for me and my heart. And he just wasn't showing that. I just didn't need like a ring or anything, just like a basic, I am attracted to you. I could not have just withheld what I was feeling. It would just be like, oh, like Jim Carrey faces, because it was just too strong. And it was always like that. It was always like that. Even if we'd started out as just friends, it was never going to be that way, because I would never be able to be that way. My love is like a wild Mustang that wants to run. It's like this. It's magnets. And, you know, if you bring them close enough together, they're irresistibly attracted to each other. And if they're far enough apart, it's okay. And for me, this level of being close together was any level. The only way that I would be able to fall away was no contact. And that might seem silly, but that's the way it is. So you might wonder, if there's this magnetic pull, why doesn't the other person feel it too? Well, in my case, because I'm super sensitive, it's like I can feel the pull way back here, whereas somebody else might have to be this close for them to feel it. There's also many reasons why this wouldn't work, because people are not magnets. They are complex, contradictory balls of consciousness with behavioral patterns that have nothing to do with this. So, you know, this magnet might say, I'm not going to look at this attraction here. I'm just going to ignore it. Or this very force of attraction might be the very thing that screws things up, because this magnet says, ooh, love, that's scary. I don't want to lose myself. I need to be a strong, independent person. I'm going to turn my back. And then what happens when you turn the magnet around? Repulsion. Now this magnet turns this back. There's no more repulsion. They get back together. Sometimes that happens over and over and over again. But if this magnet's smart, it's gonna say, I'm gonna go make out with a magnet that's emotionally available and not afraid of intimacy. Bye. I would say the way things were in this scenario at the end was this boy magnet's kind of sideways, not really pushing totally, not pulling totally, kind of ambivalent both at once. And I'm just like, that's not good enough. I'm gonna go away. And I was thinking that this would be no big deal, because it wasn't a real relationship, so there's nothing to break up from. And I never thought that it would work out that well anyway, because of some traits that I didn't think were good for me, like a drinking issue, and I just could tell just from the right away that he was kind of a bad boy, and he was kind of nomadic. He wouldn't be around for long even when he was around. And so I thought that all this would keep me safe, and that maybe we could still have something that would be fun and pleasurable and healing for me. And it was. it was for a while. I also didn't think it'd be a big deal because I thought that even if he had liked me back, that I might have to break it off because I'm worried about my health and anything that will detract from that, and being attached to somebody that's not good for me and exchanging psychic energy with them, especially if they have bad habits like taking care of their body, I'm going to take on that toxicity and like try and transmute it in my own body, and then I'll get sick, so it's not good. So when he was getting ambivalent, I was kind of like, okay, this is what has to happen all along anyway. This was never good for me. But I wake up in the middle of the night and I feel that feeling that you get when you've broken up with something or somebody bad, broken up with somebody or something bad has happened to you, where you wake up and you feel, you know that something's awful happened, but you don't remember what it was right away. I got that. No. I'm like, okay, guess that was like a real relationship. I'll be sad for a few days and then I'll get better. And a couple days pass and I'm not better. And a week passes and it seems worse. And a couple weeks pass and all this weird stuff is happening to me. Like I've lost my appetite completely. I lost like 5 pounds. I went through like these releases of traumatic energy without the assistance of drugs. Never happened before. It was like convulsing, shaking all over. And like, okay, maybe this will last a month. Have a sensitive nervous system. At 2 months, I'm like, this is my life now. I get it. Okay, this is my life now. I made a mistake. This has happened to me before. When I make a mistake about something, sometimes I trigger my nervous system and it just goes slow. I just get better slowly over months and years, and that's just the way it is. It's not like I wasn't doing anything about it. I was meditating and journaling and everything to try and deal with this, but didn't work. Didn't work totally, I'll say. So the primary symptom is not so much sadness or heartache, although it wouldn't be happening if there wasn't heart involved. The primary symptom is anxiety. And yeah, why? You know, I don't know all the reasons why. I certainly know some of them. You know, I have the rejection trigger. Why didn't he like me? What did I do wrong? I must be horribly ugly. That kind of thing. And I have the self-criticism, self-doubt thing. Like, oh, I should have said this. Why did I do that? I should have been able to be just patient in the end. I shouldn't have been so enthusiastic. Everybody knows that pushes guys away. I should have seen this coming and broken it off 2 weeks in. I'm so stupid. And thirdly, there's the shame that I'm feeling any of this at all about a situation that really shouldn't merit it. And part of that's just because I'm super sensitive and I feel everything intensely. Most of that's because well, you know, when you're feeling something that doesn't match the situation, that it's probably due to some traumatic triggering of something that happened in your past. For me, let's say I have a wound. I can feel it. I feel it very intensely. I'll show you. I have a wound. It feels like a shark bite. And it lives like right about here. Maybe some up into here. Say that this wound in my childhood has to do with a unfulfilled need for love. Before meeting this person, I'd kind of been plastering this. This wound was here. They didn't make it. It was plastered over though with bandages of my own making, sort of numbed out, saying, I don't need love. I'm just worried about my health. I want to deal with my health before I find a relationship. Relationships are stressful anyway, and things of that nature. So what happens is this person comes along and reminds me, starts fulfilling this need that I didn't even know that I have, and it feels amazing, and it feels good, and it feels right, and then it ends. And it's worse than before. It's like the original wound's been kind of jabbed around with a knitting needle in here, so it hurts. And the original situation has replayed itself because I trusted somebody who shouldn't be trusted. And I opened too far, expecting validation from somebody who wasn't likely to give it to me. So there's a whole other factor going on here. It's like, why is this person so special? What does it matter what they think of me? So I'll try and explain it without sounding too condescending, and I have to elaborate on the magnet thing and tell you my theories about love and life and soulmates. Now when I say soulmates, I don't know about past lives and twin flames and all that. I mean, I believe in that stuff, but I'm talking about resonant energies. So I'm a complicated and complex person, and that's not for everybody, but people tend to take notice. So let's say that my energy is like this. It's got a lot of different colors, a lot of different shapes. First of all, just having an energy like that, some people are like, wow, you're different. And they don't know why, but they know that there's something different and it intrigues them. I get messages all the time. I feel drawn to you. I don't know why. This is why. This is what comes from having a lot of experiences in this life, and I believe many lives, is what gives a person this complexity of colors. I don't see auras or anything. I'm making this up. This is an analogy or a metaphor. Say a guy comes along and he has the yellow lines and he has the blue waves. And this is another reason why people say, whoa, I feel drawn to you and I don't know why. Because no matter what they have, they see it in me and they say, wow, we have a lot in common. I feel so much chemistry with you. And this is where love comes from, I believe, is what these matching things mirror us, mirror our own love back to us, and they resonate even bigger so we can feel it. And that's what chemistry feels like, is when these connect. Like, okay, there's the chemistry between the yellows. So then another guy comes along and he's got those things and he's got some red wavies too. And maybe he's got a pink tornado above his head also. And this guy is also like, wow, we have so much chemistry. And don't tell me that it's just because I'm pretty. That is maybe the first step, but I feel very insulted when people insinuate that that's the only reason that somebody would like me. So you can see what happens here is these guys feel the chemistry and they're not wrong. They're right. But I'm looking at them and I'm like, maybe. But then once in a while, somebody comes along and they've got a lot of matching colors. And at this point, I would begin to call us soulmates. It's not like, oh, you are or you aren't. It's kind of a spectrum of how much you are. 25% of my 75% male audience is getting triggered right now by their imagined rejection. But what I'm trying to say is that the reason that this thing was so important this summer is because he had colors and depth and complexity that could start to feed mine. And that is what is important for the shark bite. It doesn't just need love. It needs love of a specific quality. And whatever it is, he had that quality or qualities. And he wasn't the only person in the world, but he was the last one. And that makes it hard to let go of. Now I want to be clear that just because the people have matching colors does not mean that they should be together. This person could be a drug addict. This person could be a lying, cheating whore. That has nothing to do with the colors. This is the basic soul chemistry, not personality chemistry. And also, the dangerous thing that happens is you tend to overlook a person's personality flaws. You tend to overlook that this person's a lying, cheating whore because the colors are so amazing and you can't let it go. So that's a big part of what caused the anxiety and what made it hurt so much is that, like, God damn it, why can't you see this? Why can't you see me? Because I can see you. And that's never quite happened to me before to that extent. I've met maybe 7 people who had enough of this resonance that I would call them a soulmate. It never quite ended this way. There was always more of a mutual acknowledgement before, which I guess is why it was so, which I guess is why it triggered my PTSD, because I wasn't expecting it, and so it was a bit shocking. Because in my world, it's not unreasonable to expect somebody to feel it, and feel it without spending a lot of time together, without possibly even talking, possibly from just seeing a photograph or seeing somebody across the room. My one ex, for example, who I had this sort of connection with, saw me bringing wood into my apartment. His mother's apartment was directly across the parking lot, and he watched me carry the wood up for the fireplace, and he said to his mom, "I'm gonna marry that girl someday." We'd never spoken. He was just looking at me. How do I know that wasn't just by looks? Because I talked to him last night after 9 years. I haven't seen him in like 8 or 9 years. And he says, "You're the only one I'm ever gonna love." And I'm like, oh geez, because I don't believe that. I think that's limiting belief. But I know why he thinks that. He thinks that because of this. Because it's powerful. And then there was another boyfriend who I met on a Friday night. We got intimate on a Saturday afternoon. I think by Sunday night he was asking me to move into his house. And I said no. But I did 2 weeks later, because that's the power of the colors. Now, in fact, this person too fit the mold, because they had been on OkCupid, contacted me in 2014, and then again in April 2017, and then like 5 times in May 2017, and said that they wanted to, asking if they could move in with me. And I said, why? And they said, I don't know, intuition. I was skeptical of the whole thing at first, but the immediately as soon as I replied, because I was like ignoring them, as soon as I finally replied, there was like no going back. It was like that painting of Adam touching God. Those chords just connected and I could feel it. And I knew. And that too is what caused so much anxiety now, because if they were enthusiastic and then they weren't enthusiastic, it's like, why am I such a horrible, ugly hag? The end.
Crazy is when I go off the rails. This is what you've done to me. Crazy is how your loving makes me feel. This is what I always wanna be.